I'm Richard Gearhart, founder of Gearhart Law, full service intellectual property law firm specializing in patents, trademarks, and copyrights.
And I'm Elizabeth Gearhart, not an attorney, but I work at Gearhart Law, helping with the marketing, and I have my own startups.
Are you one of the 2 in 5 Americans wanting to start your own business or already a business owner? Stay tuned. This show is about starting and growing your business. Welcome to the Passage to Profit show, the road to entrepreneurship, where we learn why and how ordinary people just like you started and grew their business. And we also talk a little bit about intellectual property. So today we have a special treat for you. It's Justin Cooke, who's the co-founder of Empire Flippers and Webstreet.
And then we have two marvelous presenters. We have Mike Chesne from Tecton, tectonlife.com, with a multifunctional beverage. And if you go on his website and look at what this thing does, it's amazing.
Multifunctional beverage.
Yes. And then we have Natalie Noel with Noel Family Distillery. It's noeldistillery.com. It's a local distillery in Louisiana. It has quite the story and it makes a great range of product.
But before we get to our distinguished guest, it's time for your exciting new business journey. 2 in 5 Americans, imagine that, want to start their own business. And so should you start your own business journey? Well, one of the questions that people often ask is it important to think about the problem or need my business will solve? And how do I address this need? So we're going to go to our guests today and we're going to ask them, what is the problem that you're trying to solve and how does your business solve it? So welcome to the show, Justin. Great to have you. Maybe you can talk a little bit about the problem that your business is meant to solve and how you solve it.
Yeah, so thanks for having me on. My name is Justin Cooke, entrepreneur, not a lawyer. I'll mention that too, in front of a law firm. But yeah, our business Empire Flippers was built to solve the problem of helping online entrepreneurs be able to exit their business. Everyone starts a business. They start, an affiliate site or, an e-commerce selling shoes or ceiling fans. Business, but they don't know how to sell. They don't know where to take the business to sell. And so we solve that problem by providing them an end-to-end solution to exit your business or to sell your business online. And then the other problem is Webstreet. We started a spinoff company because there are a lot of people that wanted to buy or invest in a business, but didn't know how to run one. I mean, you buy this, internet company and you're like, how do I run it? So we wanted to make an investable solution for people to be able to invest in these businesses without actually having to run them. So we paired them up with people that are experienced, potential investors that want returns. And so that's how Webstreet got started.
That's great. So we appreciate that information. We'll hear more from you later in the show. Our next guest, Mike Chesne, tell us about the problem that your business was trying to solve and how you solved it.
What we do and the problem set that we started with was every human being needs energy. So, and what most people do, everybody needs energy. And that's the need state that we looked at. And what most people do now is they go out and they look for that quick fix, which is caffeine and sugar. So they look for what is normally out there, a good cup of coffee, you go to your local Starbucks, or now you're going out and you're looking at a C-store, a convenience store for an energy drink, Red Bull, Monster, Celsius, these really reputable brands that are out there, but they're not healthy. They're not good for you. So the need that we saw is for a healthy energy drink and one for grownups. Healthy energy drink for adults. Energy drinks are not for people in my age category, people that are 35 to 80. They're for 18 to 35-year-olds, 34-year-olds.
Mike, you may be a little bit, you may think you're a little bit older, but you look really young to us. So
well,
anyway, thanks for that. Natalie, tell us, what is the problem that your business was trying to solve and how do you solve it?
I love that question. Well, I didn't really think about that with this one. I just know that we wanted to be in the business of creating fantastic spirits. We of course, we're a distillery. We make rum, tequila, and vodka. We're in Louisiana. We have access to sugar cane, so that's where we make our rum from. Tequila. I'm a tequila girl, so I said, let's see if we can be the only Louisiana distiller to make authentic tequila, and so we did that. I like to think about us in terms of maybe like some of our other local distilleries. The problem I think we solved was just being more fun. bringing a personality to the local landscape. Everyone was so serious and moody with their branding. And if you look at our brand compared to everyone else's, I mean, we're ready for a party. I mean, we're ready for a good time. So I'm all about flavor and fun, and I think that's what sets us apart. So
I know looking at your website made me want to have a party.
yeah, I mean, it's about the moments that matter with the people that matter, and I'm not, we don't obviously advocate for like getting totally smashed, but it's still fun to come together and create really delicious spirits or cocktails and see where the night goes.
Well, that's great. And so for your business, Elizabeth, what was the problem and what is the solution?
Well, so for the podcast studio that we're building, so we're in our podcast studio right now in our building in Summit, New Jersey, but it's not really set up for other people's consumption or use. So so we're remodeling it and we're actually doing it ourselves. Richard is replacing ceiling tiles and I'm helping. And so anyway, we wanted to use the space and so the problem that I saw was we had space that we weren't using, but the bigger problem was I kept meeting people that want to tell their story. They want to start a podcast because people need to tell their stories and they didn't know how, and they didn't have nobody's going to go out and buy all the microphones and sound deadening equipment and all that other stuff that you need. So that was the problem, the need we're trying to meet. And then a lot of people need coaching. So that's in there too.
Sounds great. So for Gearhart Law, we're intellectual property attorneys and we focus on protecting our clients' ideas through patents, trademarks, and copyrights. That gives them a little bit of a competitive edge. It gives them a tool to work with out there in the marketplace. And so the problem is, how do you protect your ideas in order to let your business flourish and the products and services develop? And the solution is to rely, at least in part, on the legal system to give you that kind of protection. So that's what we do.
Very well said, Richard.
Well, thank you. And so now it is time for our featured guest, Justin Cooke. As I mentioned, he's the co-founder of Empire Flippers and Webstreet. So Justin, tell us a little bit more about Empire Flippers. I know you kind of talked a little bit about it at the beginning of the program, but maybe you can go into a little bit more detail.
Yeah, so my business partner and I were working mid-level managers in the US and an SEO company where they do backlinks and stuff for, local companies. So if you're a plumber and you want to get seen on Google, they would help you do that. And we had a real need to hire people cheaply. And so we had a previous connection in the Philippines. We said, look, why don't we hire some people in the Philippines? So we started this remote hiring process of hiring, 7, 8 people in the Philippines, to the point where we said, look, we need to go over there and kind of see what's going on. So my business partner, my future business partner, I fly out to the Philippines and we go to this girl's house and we realize she's got 6 other people working in her second room, third room. They're at plastic tables with air conditioned and plastic chairs. And we're like, oh my God, we're running a sweatshop. What are we literally running a sweatshop out of the Philippines? We're like, we need to fix this. So we set up an office. We convince our bosses to let us start this company so we can move to the Philippines. We moved there and we set up our first company. We have an office. We're now in the Philippines. We're totally remote entrepreneurs, and we started building a company. And within 6 months, our previous employer starts cutting our finances. So they cut to half and then another half. And so we're like, oh my God, we're going to go broke in the Philippines. This is not a place to be broke. So we're like, what do we do? So we start figuring it out.
Why did they start cutting your funding?
So this is 2010, and it was really hard to raise money around then, right? This is post-financial crisis where, they'd been raising money. They'd been going to Panama finance shows to raise money from, foreign investors, and they were struggling. And when you're struggling, one of the first people you cut are contractors, right? You'd rather keep the internal team, you cut third parties. So they started cutting back on what we thought was guaranteed money to help us get started. So we were like, what am I going to do? We're going to be screwed. We were down to making a few $1,000s a month each, and it's enough in the Philippines, but it ain't great, right? And so we had to figure out something to do. So we started. We looked up online, and you can create these little niche websites. So I'll give you an example: cemeteryprices.net. right? Was one of our sites. Another one was like catconstipation.org, right? Just little niche topics. I didn't even know this, but cat constipation is a real problem.
You should come on my cat podcast. I have a podcast for cats with Danielle Woolley. You should come on that and talk about cat.
It's a real issue. Apparently, I didn't know. I'm not a cat. I'm a dog guy, right? So like, but cats get
Dogs are
constipated.
okay, though.
Sucks.
They don't have the issue, I guess.
Yeah. Human constipation sucks too. But like, so cat constipation is the thing. So we find these little niche topics and we started just building content around it. What does that mean? Just answering the questions like, what does cat constipation look like? How do you fix it? Right?
Oh, I don't know. I don't want to know what cat constipation looks like.
You may
Well,
not
yeah, maybe not visually, right? But you want a sign that something's going. Well, I mean, honestly, constipation you're not going to see much of, right? That's a thing you can show. It's the other side that is not so great.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, neither side.
I've had cats my entire life. I've never heard of cat constipation before. So that's a real eye opener. Thank you.
But maybe that explains some of their behavior.
It could. It's
know.
Well, cream. Sorry, I said cemetery. Cremation prices is another thing. People look up. I mean, it's a really tough subject, but you want to know how much it costs, right? So, all these niche subjects that people search for. Well, Google has a program called AdSense, right? And so you create the content and you put the AdSense blocks on your website, and you just put it's a little bit of code you snip in there. And then Google will automatically deliver advertisers that's relevant to either the topic or the individual user that goes there. So they may see something about like a cemetery if it's on the cremation prices, or they may see like the last ceiling fan they search for on Amazon. So it helps, earn revenue, and then they pay you money for those. And so we built these sites, started making money. We realized people want to buy these sites. They're like little assets, right? So you have a little site making $100 a month. It's only $100 a month. But someone's willing to pay $2,000, $2,500, $3,000 for this $100 a month website. And so we realized that these are profitable assets that are sellable. So we started creating them in batches, right? A dozen a week. Started creating them. It takes about 3 months to percolate, and then we would sell them. And so we became these guys. The AdSense Flippers was our original name.
So how did you figure out what topics would be good candidates for this kind of business?
Yeah, so that's something in the kind of niche side or SEO industry called niche selection. So that's really important. The first couple of niches we selected were interesting topics we could write content about, but weren't well searched, right? So there wasn't a ton of people searching Google for the key term. So I put it in, I was like, oh, this is a cool niche. And it gets like 70 searches a month, right? So at that time, the SEO world changes, search engine optimization world changes. But you generally wanted 2,000 to 3,000 searches per month on the keyword or better. And if there's that much interest, then you're going to get some traffic if you can get ranked.
So did you look at the search engine analytics to find the most popular search terms?
Yeah, there were keyword research tools out there to help you. They would tell you exactly how many searches keyword would get per month, and then kind of the difficulty based on the sites that are there on how hard it is to get ranked. And we choose ones with a low to moderate search volume and a moderate to low difficulty. Yeah, for our audio listeners, I've got this crazy thing on my video where I do like thumbs up and I get little bubbles. I throw my hands up. I'm getting balloons. I don't know, it's a party over here. I don't know what's going on.
Cool. So you took that business model and you expanded it to actively look for people that want to sell their tech companies. Is that what you did?
Yeah, so we talked about how we built this very publicly, and that wasn't a public thing at the time. We said, here's our exact process. Step 1, step 2, step 3. A lot of people would charge you for that information, and we were like, we'll just give it away for free. And that got us attention, which is valuable, but it also got a lot of other people building these sites as well. So they would do their own approach and figure out ways to build them up. And they asked to sell with us because we had an audience now, people wanting to buy these little sites. And we said, no way, we're not having you sell with us, because that's how we make our money, is building these sites and selling them. Eventually, we smarted onto the idea that, oh my God, we can make a lot more money having everyone bring us their sites.
Right.
But look, I admit to being not the smartest entrepreneur. And most of the good ideas come from customers beating my head in with it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't listen to them and I ignore them and I have ego. And then they're like, no, dummy, here's how I want to send you money. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like eventually we're like, Okay, we can make money at this. Okay, so we let other people sell their sites to our audience, and that's when it really started to blow up. And we went from, a couple of guys in the Philippines scratching out some little websites to now we sold just over $490 million worth of websites and online businesses.
Wow, that's amazing. So who are the buyers for these websites?
Yeah.
So if we're talking about cat constipation, who's buying this website?
Yeah, so initially we started off with very small sites. We've gotten to the point where we're selling much larger businesses, SaaS, software as a service companies, and large e-commerce, Amazon FBA businesses. But initially, they were the small little sites, the cat constipation type sites, were just online aspiring entrepreneurs wanting to know, is this internet money real? Like, you know what I mean? Like, can you really make money, 100, 200, 300 bucks a month with these little websites? I want to buy it and see before I get into it all. Right, so they'd buy a site from us, and their earnings would start to hit their account. They'd pay $3,000, $4,000 for a $100 a month earner, and they'd start to get the earnings. And they're like, oh, maybe the internet money is real. Maybe it's not just all fake, right? Maybe this is something I can do. And so it was people just aspirational at first. Later on, a whole nother group got into it, like private equity and all the bigger buyers. But initially, it was just like kind of like wannabe entrepreneurs testing the waters.
Fascinating.
That's really interesting. So how exactly does the Google AdSense part of that work?
Yeah, so there's, with online businesses, there's lots of different monetizations. Google AdSense is one. They call it display advertising, and Google AdSense is one version of display advertising. So if you have your website, whether it's, WordPress or however you set up the site, there's lots of different places you can go. And you write the content, you can put a snippet of code in the middle of the content, above the content, below the content, and that will create an ad block. And you see those, sometimes you're annoyed by them when you're surfing the web, but you get an ad block. And ideally, it's gonna be very relevant to the content you have or relevant to the person viewing the content. So I said before, like if it's about cat constipation, it'll be like cat products and treats and toys, or it might be something that I searched for yesterday, right? I searched for a new lawnmower. I'll see like cat toys and then like a lawnmower because Google knows all basically, and they know that I want a lawnmower, right?
Yeah, they know stuff about you that you've never even
They know
told
stuff
them, that you never even thought you told
It's
them.
creepy. It's
It
getting creepy, right?
It is. It's like I don't know. I think our phones are listening in, and
So everyone, they say they don't, but I don't
They
believe it.
definitely are listening.
Yeah.
Dude, that's a
I
conspiracy
run too
theory I'm
many
down with.
I run too many Facebook ads. They're listening.
yeah. So that's pretty. I mean, I'm building a website right now for the new studio that we're going to be renting out. So I mean, maybe I should do that. This website.
Well, maybe we should talk about it a lot.
But don't forget about the user
Google will
experience.
somehow internalize it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say display ads are kind of the lowest form of monetization for websites. So typically, if you're building a website for yourself or your own business, you're way better off advertising your own products or services than other people's. Display ads is a particular business model where you're just creating the content to put ads up. But if you're building a website for a business, putting ads on there and getting, $80 a month trickling in or something isn't worth it. Only if the site is really popular will you make a lot of money, which can happen. But for a business website, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
So for entrepreneurs who are just starting out and they're in the process of building a website now, or they're thinking about a website, do you have any advice to offer them so that they get the most traction possible?
It depends on what kind of website they're building, right? So, and what kind of business they're building. So, if they're building a site just for display ads, just to put content up to make money with that, I mean, following our process, there's other people like nichepursuits.com, empireflippers.com. You can go to any of those sites and it'll explain that. But if you're building a service business or something, you're going to build it differently, right? You're going to want to get you're going to want to get attention. You want to draw attraction through like social media and shorts and reels and all that stuff now, which I don't do much of. Yeah, I'm not on that side of the business.
Right. But I mean, you would recommend that somebody maybe starting with a product or service, they need to have some sort of marketing strategy to begin with, figuring out the target customers that they want to reach. And then they really want to build content on the website and also potentially an advertising campaign of some sort to reach the people that are going to be the most, interested in their offering.
Yeah, typically. I mean, I say a website's important, but let me give you an example. So I'm in a master. I'm starting a new podcast. I haven't put it out yet. I haven't even recorded the interviews, but I was like held back because it's been so long since I personally built a website. So I can struggle with your listeners right now who are thinking about building a site. They're like, where do I go? What kind of content do I get? How do I set up the thing to like collect the emails, and what kind of like CRM do I use in the background? How do right? That's just not my thing. That sounds
Yeah.
sounds frightening and miserable. Makes me not want to do a podcast. I don't even want to do it now, right? And my mastermind was like, look, you don't need any of that to put a podcast out. You need a YouTube account, you need some like silly logo, and you need content. Like you don't need the other stuff, man. Just
Can I
put it out.
Can I give
Get
you
the
a
content out.
Can I give you a hint? And I should ask them for affiliate marketing money. Podpage. I don't know if you've looked at Podpage.
Mm.
It will grab all your content from your podcast and make a website for you. It's
Wow.
really cool. Somebody else told me about it. I tried it with one of my podcasts that I kind of experiment with. Very cool.
Is this like some AI shenanigans they got going
Yeah.
on there?
It's absolutely AI shenanigans. It's Podpage. Just check it out.
I'm putting it in, yeah. I'll
So,
take a look.
so Justin, what was it like working during the pandemic? You had this business. You spent a lot of time growing it during the pandemic. What was that all about?
So it's weird to say, but like, well, first off, I'll say that our company is completely remote. So as of 2011, just about a year after starting, we went completely remote. And we were forced to because business was bad enough. We had to shut down our office in the Philippines. Everyone had to go work from home. And it was depressing because I felt like, oh my God, we're not a real company anymore. We don't have an office, right? It turned out to be fantastic because we were remote before any of this pandemic stuff started. So everyone on our team, we've got Americans living in Prague, Medellin. We got a British guy living in Manila. So we got people all over the world. And this is pre-pandemic. So 2019, that was our setup. Yeah, heading into 2020, we were in great shape, I guess, for a worldwide shutdown in that we were all living and working remotely already. Now, the weird thing is that with everyone kind of shut down, there was a huge focus on online business. So our business boomed. 2020 for us was a banner year. I say this with total understanding that that was not the case for everyone listening to this. It was pretty terrible. Yeah, I'm sure she did just fine, Natalie. But yeah, it was great for us in 2021 as well. So we went through a significant period of growth.
This is 24 is a really kind of strange beast. So I started a meetup with Stacy Sherman for podcasting, and we wanted to do it in person because a lot of people are going back to in person, but we're also doing it over Zoom, and we're getting, I don't know, 20 times, 100 times the signups on Zoom as we are getting for in person. So you kind of think people are ready to go back into the world, but a lot of people still want to sit in their living room and work on stuff from there.
Yeah.
There's something of personal connection. We do like team meetups. We used to twice a year, and we meet up in Mexico City or Phuket, Thailand, or like really kind of cool exotic locations. And we started doing like these kind of like during the pandemic kind of Zoom meetups, and it is not the same. Like having a virtual beer is so lame. I can't even. It's just so lame. So yeah, I like the in-person stuff. Yeah, plus all the AI stuff, everything's fake and what's real anymore. So like, I want to touch your flesh. You know what I mean? I want to hug you and say hi.
No, it's
in only a professional way, however.
Yes, it's appropriate, non-cancelable way. That's what I'm looking for.
And so I have another question. We go in a slightly different direction here. One of the things that are mentioned in the show notes is that there is a distinction between bootstrapping and fundraising. So anyway, we have to take a break for a commercial. You're listening to Passage to Profit with Richard and Elizabeth Gearhart. Our special, stay tuned. We have Secrets of the Entrepreneurial Mind coming up later in the show. Don't want to miss that.
very good. Well, welcome back, listeners. You are listening to Passage to Profit, The Road to Entrepreneurship with Richard and Elizabeth Gearhart. And our special guest today, Justin Cooke. We've just had a fascinating discussion with Justin, and we're going to keep it going now. So there was a question from somebody else on this call.
Somebody in the studio?
Somebody in this, in the Zoom studio.
I'm not going to say it's Natalie, but
No, it's Natalie, but it was. But so Natalie wanted to know, do you deal with any businesses that have physical inventory?
Yeah, so we deal with there's a number of different types of businesses that carry physical inventory. DTC businesses, it's called direct to consumer, where you're selling e-commerce product through your website. Amazon FBA or fulfillment by Amazon, which you have a physical product where you hold inventory with Amazon, and hybrids of those, right? So yes, we sell those businesses regularly. What we don't sell, kind of like the limit on what we'll sell, is any property that requires a local physical requirement to be there. So our buyers are worldwide, right? So I might have a buyer for your business in Tulsa. The buyer might be in Hong Kong, buyer might be in San Francisco. So them flying to Louisiana, for example, just an example, to like run the business is probably a no-go for most buyers. So it really doesn't work with our model. So our model just requires them to be able to live and work anywhere. So in many cases, they ship the inventory to a third party. That third party does fulfillment. Any business like that, we can absolutely sell.
So Justin, would you share with our audience some of the challenges that you faced? And
yeah, not all of them, I hope. People will be here a while.
You learn from your failures, right?
I just didn't know how to ask that in the
Well,
right
you
way.
just
So
put this in show notes and you give somebody else a responsibility.
yeah.
well, here are two like misconceptions my business partner and I both had early in our entrepreneurial careers that, when we shut down our office in the Philippines, I just felt like a loser, right? Because in my view, in my head, I was like, you need an office, you need desks, you need like an address, and that's really important to be a real company. Otherwise, what are you? Like, you're not a real business, right? And it was just like head trash that I had as an entrepreneur that many of us have, right? But that was mine personally. And it really hurt to shut the office. I was like, I'm such a loser. I'm going to go back to the US and like go get some crappy job and like not, chase my dreams. And this sucks. I was not a good place. And my business partner wasn't worried about the office. He was like, it's fine. We'll make it work. What he hated was having to lay off employees because he thought having a successful company meant a much larger number of employees. So he was looking at headcount. I was looking at furniture, right? And so for him, headcount means you're a real company. The more people you get, the better. Now, any of us in business know the more headcount you have, your expenses generally in business, one of your major expenses, employees. So the more you improve that headcount and you're getting fired up about it, the more your fixed expenses go up and all the additional expenses and human capital issues that come with herding cats of people or whatever. You know what I mean? Like it can be problematic. So yeah, I mean, I think getting over our own kind of like, thoughts on what we thought a real business was a good learning experience for us.
That's really a great story because I think all of us have our own different stories, our own definitions of what a successful business is. And part of it is focusing on what is successful to you, but also not letting some of these sort of traditional thoughts, I guess, and is one way to put this, cloud your ability to move forward because things are so much different today and they're different than they were 10 years ago, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we're in our studio here, used to be our law office, that used to be full of people. Now there's 3 people here. Everybody else, our whole team is remote, right? And so it does,
Right.
you have to be flexible.
Well, it's weird because getting into the business world with Richard helping with the law firm stuff and dealing with a lot of entrepreneurs, I hadn't realized for a long time that there are some companies that survive solely on investor funds for years and years and years. I always thought a successful business was more revenue than expenses, but that's not really true, right? I mean, I don't know, how long have some of these companies been going where they're just living off investors?
Well, that was cute in like 2019, 2020, 2021, right? With the run up and all the money floating around. Yeah, there were lots of companies. They're like, profit? I don't care about profit. Like, what's profit? It's growth, baby, right? And, when it comes to harder times, that's when those companies go away, right? They don't do quite as well because investors pucker up and they're like, I'm not putting money in businesses that don't have an interest in delivering a profit. So I think it depends on the times, and the times have changed to some degree where it is harder to raise money, right? If you don't have a plan to actually profit out of the business. So yeah, tougher, but I prefer that. I think that's more honest, right? Like I want you to work on revenue and eventually have a plan towards profit. I don't know, maybe it's more head trash on mine, but in my view, like the goal of the business it should be to drive revenue and eventually get margins that deliver a profit to you or your investors, right? And if you're not doing that, what are you doing?
So one of them I had heard about, and I don't know if this is true or not, and I don't know if it's still true, but I'd heard that like Angie's List, which is now Angie, didn't make a profit for a long time. Would you touch a company like that now to try to sell to somebody?
Look, there are like really special cases. Amazon is a great example. Twitter or X is a really great example. Amazon didn't like as part of the business model didn't want to make a profit, but those are unicorns, right? These businesses that raise money, but they're growing so quickly and so dramatically, and they're like inconceivably big companies. We're not dealing with that. We're not selling Amazon on the Empire Flippers platform, okay?
But you wouldn't touch a company now that didn't have some sort of profit.
I mean, that's true. So it's a requirement to sell on Empire Flippers. So if you have no profit, you're just not sellable to like most of the investors on our platform and people that are looking to buy online businesses.
So that still is a definition of success then for most people.
I was just going to
having
say,
some sort of profit with your
I'm glad
business.
some things haven't changed because
Well, the problem is like people come to us, right? And they're like, look, we've got this amazingly growing business. We're going to be the next Amazon. You just got, but we need to sell. We're not profitable yet, right? We've raised all this money. You know, we're so good. We got all these other metrics, and we're like, I mean, look, what I tell them is like, oh, that's great. Come back to us when you're profitable. The truth is, we get so much of that. It's disturbing. It's like maybe for the one we miss out of 1,000 that was the next Amazon. Well, we missed the boat. But like I saved myself a hell of a lot of time not dealing with 999 companies that were
Right.
not
So
good.
for these online businesses, is there some common denominator that makes them profitable, or is it different for each one?
Yeah, I mean, online businesses that are successful typically have someone who is a hustler and knows the nuts and bolts. They live, drink, eat, breathe that company. There was a thing in 2020, 2021. You may have seen it. There was like a New York Times article about it, about the private equity groups, the roll-ups. They were buying a lot of Amazon companies, and they were buying a lot of them from us, and they were buying, seven, even eight-figure businesses and trying to roll them up. The problem is they had a bunch of MBAs. So Harvard, Yale grads looking at the spreadsheets and going, we can make a ton of money rolling up all these e-commerce businesses. And so they were, I mean, Thrasio is a good example, like, one of the very quick billion-dollar company out of nowhere. And you have all these really smart, educated people looking at the spreadsheets, but they don't have like the basic kind of e-commerce skills. Like, how do I get the inventory here to there? How, like the people that are selling these ceiling fans or the electric bikes that they built, had them built themselves, they know the business. They're not MBAs with spreadsheets, right? And so I think if you're a hustler and you're like really into your numbers and learn your business from scratch as a bootstrapper, you're gonna know the business quite well. I'd say that's the best way to do it.
right. Well, this has been
Oh.
fascinating. I really do appreciate. Where can people reach you, Justin, if they want to sell a business or contact you for some other reason?
Yeah, empireflippers.com is our kind of brokerage account. If you want to find out more about the investing side, which we're going to talk about, but you can go to webstreet.co and you can figure out how to invest in successful operators that are buying businesses like we talked about.
Great.
Excellent.
Well, thank you very much for that. It's been amazing. And now it is time for IP in the news, everyone's favorite segment, my favorite segment for sure. Today we're going to be talking about tattoos, right? And LeBron James. So how can you go wrong with tattoos and LeBron James? Well, it turns out that tattoo artist Jimmy Hayden put a tattoo on LeBron James' arm
That he designed himself, that
that he designed,
Jimmy Hayden designed.
that Jimmy Hayden designed. And then what happened next?
Well, and then LeBron James, his likeness was made into a character on a video game.
Right. So
And they copied the tattoo into this character on the video game. And the guy that created it said, hey, I should get paid for that.
But of course, the court disagreed, and it went before a jury in Ohio. They decided that the tattoo artist, Jimmy Hayden, gave LeBron James an implied license when he did the tattoo, and LeBron James paid for it, and therefore he had no claim against the gaming company for using his tattoo on the likeness of LeBron James,
And I think some of the logic was it kind of becomes part of your body, so it's kind of you.
which is not super precise legal reasoning, in my opinion.
Because it was funny because the artist did design it. So it was a unique artwork created by this artist, but he put it on LeBron James. So who does it belong to?
Well, I mean, under normal copyright law, the creator of the work owns the copyright. And unless there is an agreement between the creator and the user, the copyright stays with the creator. So in this case, in my opinion, probably should have stayed with Jimmy Hayden, unless LeBron James and Hayden had like some sort of deal that, okay, I'm going to make this tattoo for you, LeBron. You own all the rights, right? But based on what we've seen, there was no such agreement like that. And so I'm not really sure that this was a correct decision, but I guess the moral of the story is if you get a tattoo and you're a famous person and you think you may end up on a video game, maybe what you should do is make sure you have the right deal with your tattoo artist so you don't get sued. So
Right.
anyway, so that's our IP in the news, but I'd like to ask our amazing guests what they think about this situation. And Natalie, you're there listening to all of this. What are your thoughts here?
Well, I mean, best to just not get a tattoo, that's where I am on that. But I see our guy Mike here. He's prepped. Yeah, I think I mean, I don't know. I know there's like copyright, like listening to you describe the law makes me think like, okay, well, maybe there is a side, but to me, if he exchanged compensation for the work onto his body, then it becomes his. So I'm pretty okay with the ruling.
Okay, well, that's
Not that LeBron is my favorite or anything.
yeah, I mean,
Always beating up on our poor New Orleans Pelicans. So
so how you come out on this depends on whether you're a LeBron fan or not, I guess.
yeah,
right?
probably, huh?
So Justin, what's your take here?
Well, I'm just going to call Natalie out for saying not to get a tattoo. I mean, Natalie, you sell tequila. Let's be honest, right? No, wasn't this story similar?
Conservative tequila drinker.
Sure. Wasn't the story? It was similar to Mike Tyson, right? So like Mike Tyson had a big tattoo on his face, and it was in the movie Hangover. Do you remember this? Are you guys familiar with the story? So he had the tattoo, and I don't get the story exactly, but I think they had to go back in the movie and digitally remove the tattoo. Is something they did in the Hangover movie to get rid of his likeness. So what a weird thing. I mean, with I think with AI, this is gonna be more of an issue. It sounds like kind of a silly issue, like it's very specific to like a celebrity in a video game. Who cares? But the more we have digital likenesses of people, I think the more this issue might come up, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think so too.
that also excellent point. So Mike, tell us, you're flashing your tattoos here on the Zoom, so please give us your
Mike.
opinion.
I only
to
did
each his
that
own.
for Natalie's.
To each his own, Rick. I mean, I'm all for whatever.
No. I only did that for Natalie's benefit.
Did you design your own tattoos, Mike, or did you
I
have
did.
So they
Well,
you own
but
them.
the artist still has license to change them. I mean, just because I told him, hey, look, this is what I want, it never turns out exactly like that. They create them. What my question for you, Richard, is what's the case law, the prior case law for this? I'm sure this isn't the first tattoo artist who has ever had his art that somebody else has done this. And there had to be precedents that the attorneys put forth that said, hey, look, this isn't the first time that an artist has put a tattoo on somebody and there was a picture taken of somebody wanted money for it.
Well,
obviously this happened before.
Well, way to put me on the spot, Mike. But I will say that in fact, the case law on this is mixed. In some cases, the courts have found for the artist. In other cases, they haven't, right? And so there's still some ambiguity. Copyright is always really fact specific. So, I mean, you can just imagine the Ohio jury kind of liking LeBron James, right? And just like, well, we're going to fine for him no matter what,
Right. Yeah. Well, there were a couple other in this article that say that they were dismissed. So doesn't sound like the tattoo artists really have a lot of rights in this.
Right.
So
well, a tattoo artist they make their living by whatever they design and draw, they sell that to the person that they're putting this art on. So it's kind of hard for me at the same time, after spending literally thousands of dollars having somebody put ink into my body, for me to say, oh, now I got to give you money from something else. I'm pretty sure that the gaming company didn't give LeBron extra money just for putting the tattoo on there. They just gave him money for having his likeness on there.
Maybe they should have, though. That's the problem. I mean, you're going to have OpenAI scraping the entire web of all the artists' work and then just recreating that work in their style for free without attribution. I don't know what the answer is, but that doesn't seem right.
But you know, the sort of traditional copyright, like for like really well-known photographers, they take a picture and they'll give you you pay for that headshot. They'll give you the rights for a website or a brochure, and they just sort of divvy out the rights for that, and you pay each time you use it in a different way. And so I kind of, when I'm thinking of this, I'm kind of thinking of it like, you know, that's the traditional model, is the photographer who keeps all of the slides and licenses out each individual use. So, so it's a challenging question for sure. And obviously, you know, tattooing is a little different than photography, but you know, maybe not. So anyway,
So
the moral of the story is, before you get a tattoo, call your intellectual property lawyer.
Good plug, Richard. Good plug.
Noted.
Anyway, I guess we have to break for another commercial. We'll be back right after this. And you're listening to Passage to Profit. And stay tuned. We have Mike Chesne and Natalie Noel coming up. And also we have Secrets of the Entrepreneur Mind. Welcome back, everybody. It's Passage to Profit with Richard and Elizabeth Gearhart. And now it's time for us to hear from Elizabeth and her project. So what's up with you?
I have a few things going on. So I was working on Blue Streak Directory. It was a B2B business directory. I'm reframing that a little bit. I still have it. I got the trademark allowed through the trademark office. So I'm like, I'm going to hold on to this because I don't want to pay for another one. Well, not that I paid for it, because I kind of have inside connections, but I'm, as I
Yeah,
mentioned,
what did I get out of that deal anyway?
That's what we tell our kids, like, go and become a trademark attorney and a patent attorney, please.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, when I finally sell it through Justin, then
Yeah.
you'll know. But anyway,
Get a part of that anyway.
so anyway, so I'm reframing that a little bit. I'm not going to talk about it too much here, but in the meantime, as I said, Richard and I are remodeling the podcast studio. It's going to be really cool. So we're going to have a video studio and an audio studio. It's called Gear Media Studios in Summit, New Jersey. And to Justin's earlier point, I am just doing a super deep dive into the podcasting space. We're going to conferences. I started a meetup with Stacy Sherman once a month that meets physically in our law firm building in Summit, New Jersey, but we also get people from Zoom. And this last one, we got over 250 people registered through Zoom. They won't all come, but that's a really, like, doing the hybrid is a really good way to do these kind of meetups now. And at the end of June, Richard and I are both going to be presenting on panels for podcasting at the Empowered Podcasting Conference. And that's in Charlotte, North Carolina. And that is Mark Ronick is putting that on. And I also have another podcast called the Jersey Podcats, Cat Podcast, that I do with Danielle Woolley.
I think we have a new topic for that podcast on the next
think you do.
episode. Past constantly.
Her last name is Woolley.
Everything. I don't think she's heard that. She may have, but I gotta ask her about that. So I'm doing some different things with that too. So I'm kind of looking at how you can help your podcast by having it on YouTube. And are there things you can do on YouTube that will help you get downloads on Spotify? It's like what the crossover is between YouTube and the podcasting platforms. And the real podcasters will tell you YouTube podcasts aren't truly podcasts. Anyway, I don't want to go too deep into that because it gets very technical, but that's kind of what I'm doing, where I'm at. So I am starting, when I started asking people if they wanted to rent a studio, a lot of people were like, well, sure, I would love to rent a podcasting studio, but I don't know how to start a podcast. Can you help me? So thus a coaching business was born. So we have a soup to nuts studio where you can come in. We're going to have come in and leave with a finished product. And then if you want marketing help with that, we can either help you with that or refer you to somebody who's a specialist in the podcast marketing space, which is a different space than traditional marketing. The whole podcast thing is a lot like other digital marketing tools, but just a little bit different. So I'm really learning the ins and outs of that. So enough about me. I want to hear about tectonlife.com from Mike Chesne. It's a multifunction beverage. And I just want to hear all about it because it sounds like it's really cool. So tell us, Mike.
So first, Richard, Elizabeth, thank you guys for having us on Passage to Profits. Appreciate you guys doing this. A quick background on me and how this all got started. I'm a soldier. That's my background. Joined the military right out of high school. 17 years old. Went into the Army. I was an Army Ranger, Special Forces, and that's what I did. And 25 years. So I spent 25 years in the Army, and in being in the military, a lot of what you learn is how to do the most with the least. So that geared me up to be an entrepreneur. I mean, it really did. That kind of sets you up for, figuring out how to solve problems with what you have in hand. Do the best with what you got. So after I retired from the military in 2010, did a couple of businesses, healthcare consulting businesses, kind of like Justin, traveled all around the world, went to the best places that there are, these great, tropical hotspots, Algeria, Afghanistan, Iraq, really the best places that you want to go and spend time in.
Resort towns.
Resort places. So spent a lot of time there in the beginning and just, got tired of being away from my family and spinning my wheels in spots where I really wasn't going to make any traction. But while I was there, ended up learning a lot about needs and things that people wanted and needed, and found out that the government, the U.S. government, was looking for a nutritional supplement for soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Coast Guardmen, men and women, that provided additional physical and cognitive performance, and they wanted something that was going to improve that by 30%. That's a heck of an ask, but that's what the government wanted. Well, I read about it.
Your job was to make people 30% smarter and 30% stronger?
No, that was what the government asked.
Oh, okay. All right.
So I cold called the lady who won the contract and created this substance, and spent 3 years working with her at Oxford University in England, and tried to market the product that she had created. Lady's brilliant. It's an incredible nutritional supplement. The problem is it just didn't work for what we needed in the US. It's built for elite athletes, and it just has some inherent problems. Mainly, you can only take 2 servings of it a day, so it doesn't work for people who need it 4, 5, 6 times a day if they want for energy. So I ended up coming back, starting from scratch, sat down with a piece of paper and designed my own, which sounds really crazy for, a kid who is from the Louisiana public education system. I graduated from college the week after I turned 40. I did get my graduate degree from LSU, so I did learn a few things there. But it's crazy how these journeys turn out, because you never would think, how does somebody who was an Army Airborne Ranger turn out to be a biochemist, which is what it turned out. I created what the human body makes when you're starving, or when you're on what people do, a low carb or a ketogenic diet. So your liver produces energy. It does it by burning fat. Really great way to do it. Well, I created one that you can make outside of your body, and that's what we use as an ingredient in our current offering, which is a beverage, ready to drink beverage that comes out. You can buy it now on Amazon or through our own website. The secret ingredient that we have in our product is, it's the same molecule or the same ingredient that your liver produces when you're on a low carb diet. It's the exact same molecular structure as the ketones that your liver produces. So we just created it outside your body so that now you can consume it, and that way you get a lot of the same benefits that you would have if you were on a low carb diet. So this is not a replacement for a low carb diet. Don't take it that way. What this is just another form of energy, and it's clean, and it's the most efficient energy that a human can have. So that's our secret sauce.
Yeah, what kind of feedback are you getting from people on this?
We're having some incredible feedback from everybody that has this. We get a lot of our we'll call them, we're not going to call them seniors. We're going to call them people of our age, my age group, that are very active. So they play golf, they play tennis, and they used to play, one round of golf when they'd go out, or play golf one day and tennis the next day, because they just didn't have enough energy to do it every day. Well, now that they're using our Tecton beverage, they're able to play a round of golf in the morning and then play a round of tennis in the afternoon, because they have that extra energy, and they don't have any of the side effects, like their muscles aren't burning because they don't have a lactic acid buildup, or there's several other benefits that come from this. And instead of me explaining it to you, people could go to our website, tectonlife.com, and just read about all the other benefits that come from it.
All right, Justin, do you have a question or comment?
Yeah, it's just tough because, like, in that space, right, it's really difficult. Like, you don't want to make claims that, oh, you're for sure going to lose weight, or you're for sure going to be able to do 3 rounds of golf instead of 1. So you want to be, like, obviously you want to be careful about that, but like, how do you, like, wouldn't it be good to like get like a third party kind of test of that? And like, because anecdotally it's cool, like there's good stories for sure, but like, wouldn't it be good to like try to test it out? Like, I think it would help your sales significantly.
Well, we've done those. So there's clinical tests that have been done on similar products, but our particular one, we've done clinical research in humans and in lab animals, and we've thoroughly tested it to see whether or not this works to increase cognition, to blunt the effects of glucose, to raise and lower the hormones that affect hunger and appetite, raise and lower inflammation markers. So there's lots of clinical testing that we've done. Now, again, we're not going to put those claims on our label. We're not going to put those until we get to a certain point. At some point, we will make this a dietary supplement. We've already applied for our new dietary ingredient. We are certified by, through the FDA, through their generally recognized as safe process. We've gone through all of that regulatory process. We've done all of our toxicology and all of the necessary regulatory testing for this substance, and we've come out very, very well on it.
Mike, I love the fact that you're niching. So that's super good in a very saturated space, also a very profitable space where like a lot of people are trying to get in, right? You get a lot of competition or whatever. Like if you can focus in or narrow in on a niche, and yours is kind of like older men, not seniors, older men, distinguished gentlemen, whatever, that want additional energy, like you're niching it down. You're like, you want to exclude. You want to say, for these people, this isn't for you. This isn't for you. We want this group. Later on, you can expand it, but like if you start very narrow, your marketing is cheaper. It's easier to have like an us versus them, or kind of an in-group, out-group on your marketing. So that's cool.
Yeah, and mainly what we're looking for, this is good for everybody. I mean, you literally, anybody from a young person all the way through somebody who's 100 years old can use this product safely, and it will get benefits from it. But again, you can't be everything to everybody. If you try, you'll fail miserable. You can't market to everybody. So just like you said, you have to narrow that market down. You have to find one like everybody. You have to find who is your customer, not who's your customer base. Who's your customer? So like you may be my perfect customer. And I'm just making this up, but
Obviously,
you're a 35-year-old. You're 35-year-old. Middle class.
I wish, bro. I wish. 46, but I like it. I like you going down. Like, that's cool, man. If you're like 54-year-old, I'd be like, whoa, come on. What are we doing?
So, Mike, does the drink have, is it have better effects if the person consuming it is younger or older? Is it more noticeable, or is it pretty much right across the board in terms of effects?
No, it works the same with everybody. The what you will get better effects with this particular product is if you are on a low carb diet or you do restrict your carbs, you will get a little better effect from it because you already have these ketone bodies in your system, and all it does is bolster those processes. So you get a little better effect if you're already like I intermittent fast. So I'll have my meal at 6 o'clock in the evening. I won't eat again until maybe noon or 1 o'clock the next afternoon. So for me, it works perfect where if I drink one at 10 o'clock in the morning, and that helps me stretch my fast out a little longer, and it keeps my appetite down. So it works very well for me, and I get a little better benefit from it. I feel the effects of it a little more viscerally than somebody who would. Say somebody who got up and ate a really big breakfast and then drank one of these, they may not feel that really clear focus that you feel when you have this drink if you just had a full meal.
Mike, those might be nice additive products, or like keto strips, right? Or like keto snacks, right? Anything that's like kind of like the low carb lifestyle. Again, you're talking about niches. Don't be everything to everyone. Focus on older gentlemen, keto lifestyle type people. You can check all the Reddit subreddit threads, advertise there.
Yeah. And that's another thing. You got to find where you advertise that. I mean, this isn't something that, we've obviously, like every entrepreneur, you make mistakes when you're trying to do things, and marketing in the wrong online platforms. I mean, why market on LinkedIn? Nobody buys anything in LinkedIn, but one of the partners I had before thought it was a good idea to put a lot of content out on LinkedIn, and it's just not a good idea. That's not a place where people buy things. You buy stuff from Instagram, you buy stuff from TikTok, you buy stuff from Facebook. People get on there, and there are places you can click and go directly and buy things. So that's a place where social media place where you would put something that you wanted somebody to purchase from. You wouldn't do that on a LinkedIn.
Are you on TikTok, Mike? You got a personality. And if you like ramp that up a bit, I can see you being one of those TikTok stars, just all kind of like with your phone, kind of fired up. I can see that.
I've never done it. I do a bit of public speaking for better nonprofits and those kinds of things. So that's the kind of things I do.
So are you selling this on Amazon as well as from your website?
We are, yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm. Okay, because I mean, I hate to confess this, but I go to Amazon first for almost everything.
Well, and we all do. And that's one of the reasons why we're there. A lot of people said, well, why are you going to Amazon? Well, people, I'm guilty of it as everybody else. We're human beings are lazy. And if we see something that we like, one, I like to have it the next day. Amazon Prime will give it to me the next day. From my website, it may take you two or maybe even 3 days to get it.
Why are you not on
that's
Amazon?
Just the reality of it.
Why not? Why not be on Amazon?
No, and there's no reason not to. Well, Amazon, it costs me more to be on Amazon than it does to deliver direct to consumer from my side.
Yeah, but your margins are good, probably. I'm guessing here, but your margins are good.
They are, but if I sell you from my website, my margin, and I'm being, let's say my margin, and I'm being completely off the wall. Just say my margin is 50% from my site. It's 40% from Amazon.
Yeah, but you could 5x your sales. Who gives a shit? Like I'm not. This is like, forget about the show. Like legitimately, like you can get so much better distribution. Ship a shit ton of product to Amazon. They're gonna ship it like same day. Everyone shops on Amazon. Like you're doing it. You're doing it. Most people get on Amazon and they get on that they're the train of Amazon, and they can't get off. Most people are on Amazon doing 95% of their business, doing 5% on their website, and going, shit, I wish I was better diversified. You know what I mean? You have the opposite problem, dude. Really, get on it. Like I'm just
we're there, and we're bumping that all up. It's it's like everything. It's a learning thing. It's a learning thing. But
so is your drink a substitute for sleep?
Oh boy, I'm getting a case if it is.
So here's a beautiful thing about what we have. One, it doesn't affect your sleep except in a positive way. It will help to kind of reset your circadian rhythm and get your sleep cycles in, but it has no caffeine in it, our current offering. has no caffeine, has no sugar, no carbohydrates, nothing that's unnatural. Completely healthy beverage. So no carbs, no sugar, no BS, nothing out of the ordinary in here. So it's good for you. It's healthy. It's all natural. Even the ketone that we have in ours is made through a natural process. So it's not a chemical process. It's made naturally. So it comes from raw materials from sugarcane, sugar beets. That's where it starts from. And then we make it through an enzyme process. So all natural. So you got a natural product, natural ingredients, and you have no caffeine, no sugar.
So who is your biggest market segment right now? Who's buying the most of this?
It's middle age, and I'm trying to be as politically correct. I'm not always a PC person. Remember, I'm Army Airborne Ranger. So it's people that are my age. They're buying this so that they feel healthier and they live longer. One of the other things that this does is it helps with your memory. It helps you remember things just a little bit better. It helps you focus. And that's the thing that people get. One of the biggest complaints that I get about this is, hey, I don't feel like I do when I drink a Red Bull or a Monster. I said, well, no, there's no caffeine in this. So you're not going to get that jolt, but you're not going to crash as well. You don't get a crash from this. You just get that nice, even glide from this. So it makes you focus. It gives you that feeling of clarity. And if anybody's ever done a low carb diet, you know exactly what I'm speaking of.
I'm
so
just
you
wondering here if we should try mixing it with a few things like maybe a Red Bull and Tecton together. What would that
Dude,
be like?
real talk. I was thinking the exact same thing. Let's talk mixers, bro. Let's talk mixers.
Our next offering, the next product that we're going to put out is going to be a little smaller can. We serve a 12-ounce can now. We're going to go to an 8-ounce or 8.4 ounce actually can, and we're gonna put a little bit of caffeine in it because people want it. I mean, people want caffeine. I drink coffee every morning. Everybody. I mean, I used to drink coffee all day, but I'm in my late 50s now. I can't drink coffee all day or I won't sleep at night. So we're going to put a little bit of caffeine in, and we're going to see how our customer base reacts to that. I think they're going to react very well to it. But it's going to be a different offering. We still want our healthy beverage out there for people who don't want caffeine or sugar, but we're not going to put sugar in it. I am not a sugar fan. I don't eat any sugar. I don't have sugar in my diet if I can avoid it at all. Sugar is the new tobacco. That's my thing. I really think that sugar is going to be the new tobacco. It's bad for people. It's what's causing all these metabolic problems that we're having. We didn't have a 35 to 45% diabetes rate in the US until processed foods and high sugar products were available to everybody. Now, I mean, everybody that I know has somebody in their family who has diabetes or they're pre-diabetic. And
if it weren't so damn tasty, that's the problem, right?
That
is the problem.
It's the food. It's a cocaine of foods.
Right?
Yeah, unfortunately, we have to move the conversation on. I mean, fortunately for Natalie,
I'm very excited about his drink.
So one last thing, if you don't mind, and this is for Natalie. It's a good lead-in for Natalie. This also makes a great mixer. We have 2 flavors, a berry and a lemon lime. Make a great mixer, and it will help with your hangover. So off to Natalie. Thank you, guys.
The name of your product is Tecton.
Tecton, like the tectonic plates of the earth.
Right. Tecton, and it's tectonlife.com. Great.
Yes,
so
thank you.
I was going to say, if you have all this energy and you need something to calm you down, Natalie has just the thing. So we're going to move on to Natalie Noel now with Noel Family Distillery. It's noeldistillery.com, and she's in Louisiana, and it's a local distillery. Really cool idea and concept. So please tell us all about it, Natalie.
Great. Yeah. Thanks for having me. Natalie Noel. I started Noel Family Distillery with my dad. And I also have my sister in the business. My aunt is the one who slaps the labels on it. So we're really a family business, but in terms of our, way of being, but we are looking to grow our brand as far and wide as we possibly can. I always joke, if you're going to start a spirits business, you want to do it in Louisiana. So we know how to have a good time, and we do have that reputation. And I think we're all about flavor and fun. And so you'll notice with our lineup, being a craft small distillery, you don't usually see such a wide range of products. So, but I was very much aware that everyone has a different palate and they like different things. So we have rum, tequila, and vodka. And then we have 2 styles of each of those spirits. And tequila is a super unique offering. We are the only Louisiana distillery that makes authentic tequila, which means it's made in Mexico. It's 100% agave. And we're really proud. That only took a couple of years to get that here.
Well, that was patient. I can't wait a couple of years for a drink.
I'm
Usually.
your girl. And I'm your girl if you have a business idea or a product that you need to chew on for a long time. This
So
business took us 6 years is to get off from the idea until we were in the market.
Wow.
So what inspired you to get into the spirits business?
So I'm an entrepreneur. I have a few other products companies. I started my own digital marketing agency in 2012. So I'm a marketer at heart, and I appreciate really great products. And my dad, he's a bootlegger, and he had built his own still in the backyard. And so he was making rum. I mean, Louisiana, we are surrounded by sugarcane, and that's the raw material you need for for rum. So he built his own still, and this was about 7 or 8 years ago. And we started to taste it, and we were like, wait a minute, this is really great. Should we do this? So we started having conversations about it, and I was very adamant I would not do it unless we had another spirit group. So, just because they keep saying that rum is going to be the next bourbon, but like not anybody, hardly anyone drinks it. So I really wanted the vodka. We have a pickle vodka, and that's like, we're in Bloody Mary, capital of the world probably here in Louisiana. So it really adds value to the Bloody Mary. So I was like, Dad, we're going to have a different product along with the rum. We can't be a rum only business. So that was our strategic approach to the product offering.
A pickle vodka. That sounds pretty good.
Our
Does.
Very,
daughter-in-law
very
loves-
tasty.
So
Ooh.
maybe we should get her some of that.
Dilly delight. It's very dill. It's a dill pickle. So salty and briny and just
That's
tasty.
Or a bacon vodka would be good. If we're taking a request, give me a bacon vodka.
A bacon pickle vodka. Maybe that's next.
Yeah.
Oh, wow,
that's
that
it.
would be a weird combination.
I don't want any more products. Although I am releasing a canned cocktail soon. So there you go.
What is the strategy? Because I mean, your products look amazing, and but there's so many other liquors out there. So kind of how are you approaching the marketing of this, and so that you can compete effectively against all the other product offerings?
Yeah, I think that's a multi-layer approach. So in the spirits business, you can't sell directly to the consumer in most cases. So you have to go through a distributor. So we took some time, and we ended up signing this long-term deal with Southern Glazer, which is one of the largest distributors in the country. And so we utilize their sales team of 80 plus reps to run around Louisiana and help tell our story. But then the things that are in our control, turns out people like to laugh. And so I do my best to come up with these funny little concepts that help us to stand out on social, and people relate, feeling happy when they watch our content to feeling happy when they drink our spirits. Because at the base, it's a product that tastes really delicious, and it's something that I would want personally. And so I think that's helped us. Look, it's a very challenging spot. We're competing against the Tito's of the world or the Casamigos and Grey Goose, who have 20, 30 million a year to spend on marketing. And, we're just a startup. So I think we do the best that we can, and we have realistic expectations, trying to keep our costs down and just be as creative as possible. Because I do think we have that as the upper hand. Those guys are bigger. They can't move as quickly to the trends in terms of creative or platforms or, those kinds of things. And so we try to take advantage of that. And I think my marketing background helps. We've definitely experienced a lot of people changing their behaviors. A lot of the local distilleries have changed their behaviors in terms of their marketing approaches in the last year. So
Your site's fun. Like it clearly has your personality. It has like your family's personality, like a quirk to it. That's kind of cool, right?
yeah,
And yeah, you can do the shit that big companies can't do. You can get away with being edgier and doing the edgier. I'm sure you do that on social, right? Do you do the
right.
David and Goliath approach where you're like taking out Tito's, like making Tito's look like for old men or whatever?
Well, so then, I mean, we have to be careful because our distributor is also distributing Tito's. So
Ah,
that's so we try I appreciate them for what they are, but I have really hit the local approach as best I can, and I'm actually okay if we just create a business that is in Louisiana and we're the go-to for the local vodka or the local rum, or I mean, why the hell are we not the go-to for local tequila? I mean, we're the only one. We're the
Yeah, buy
we
Louisiana, get a local
yeah.
grown. This is we're
We
your people.
right.
and all of the investment goes back into the community. I mean, we have employees, we partner with local. I mean, I'm addicted to merch. I mean, think about my merch vendor. He loves me. He's here in Baton Rouge. So like
You
we
know,
we just feed the economy.
right. If you kept it kind of local to Louisiana, it could be a destination experience, right?
Yeah,
You,
that's true.
you could
Yeah.
have your distillery, like you could show them your dad's still in the backyard.
That's the first thing they see on the tour is his still that he made.
Right. So if you could, maybe if you like connected and coordinated with some of these tour groups in Louisiana,
Do you
and
do that now?
Yeah, we do. We do the best that we can to interact with our local tourism, and so that we're getting more parties, we're getting more tours. The thing is, like our distillery is in Donaldsonville, so that's a little bit outside of Baton Rouge. So I mean, it's a smaller town, but they're actually filming a movie there, so that's cool. That's happening right now. So I mean, it's got some charm,
are you taking
and
free samples over to the people in the movie?
I was like, we got to figure something out. It's Michael B. I think I forgot his name, but my memory. Maybe I need some ketones. But
I need them like every 5 minutes. So,
I know
but,
I'm addicted to it.
so
Energy supplements. So yeah, I think we also partnered with LSU. We're the official tequila of LSU athletics. So we tried to come out of the gate and associate our brand with a very established brand.
so that
So
ought to
just
keep you in business, if nothing else, right?
yeah.
Are you using any influencers?
We do have some local influencers that we've partnered with. I'm kind of up in the air about influencers for for driving sales. I think it does drive awareness to the restaurants that we're in, and so I like to create content with them, and I think that's important.
You know what? That is something, Justin, I'll ask you about too. I'm not really sure about using influencers right now anymore. I mean, I think a couple of years ago, it really helped brands. Do you think it has the same impact in 2024?
I mean, I guess it depends on the brand. For her brand, yeah. I mean, she kind of has to. It's such a good fit. I mean, kind of
Yeah,
gonna
that'll
have to.
help. So another approach to our marketing and how I think we would, to answer your question about standing out in the marketplace, is because of my background in marketing and digital marketing and content creation. I take the approach when I go to a restaurant that it's not one-sided. I'm here to help market your business and to market our spirits within your business. So we created a podcast or video cast ourselves called Crafted Connections. And so I go behind the bar, I interview the bartender, let them talk about their restaurant, the food there, the flavors, how do they like to make cocktails. And so I think that's another approach that like like a Tito's can't do because they're just so big, it's too hard, or they could and they haven't. I don't know. But
Think what
like
you're
Rising tide lifts all boats too, right? So if you're
yeah.
promoting them, you're top of mind when
right.
it comes around. They're like, oh, I love that girl. She's great.
I think
Yeah.
what you're doing with that too is becoming really popular right now because at least here in New Jersey, I know of at least two other people. One's interviewing businesses for his podcast, the other one's interviewing businesses for her blog. And so I think this like hyper local community and like Justin said, a rising tide lifting all boats is becoming a really popular approach to business right now. So I think that's really smart. And I think it's just as you know, for marketing, brand development, and brand loyalty, and getting your ambassadors out there, right?
Yeah, and I think also like it's community marketing. I mean, we have a very specific example here in our market that really just amazes me, and it's a like a plaintiff attorney, you know, the ones that chase the 18-wheeler cases, and they used to have the most terrible reputation, but now with NIL and sports, I mean, they're attaching themselves to the community, and it's turned the reputation in such a way that it's like they're like a hero or they're a celebrity because they've taken that approach of community marketing. Now, I'm not trying to be a hero or celebrity or anything, but I mean, it is fun to attach ourselves and add value to the people that sell our products.
Right. And I think what Justin alluded to earlier, like what's really powerful about your approach with this product is happiness, the happiness factor, right?
It's fun and funky, right? You're fun and
Yeah.
funky, and your brand comes across as fun and funky. That's cool. Like that's immediately apparent on your site. I clearly have marketing chops. Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait till you see my video I'm filming tomorrow. So yes.
Yeah.
We're trying to be quirky. What is
Send
the
me
point?
like, well, maybe they could share it, but like send me some of your links to your social media. I want to take a look, and maybe they can share with the audience or whatever. But that sounds awesome.
I'll when this one's done, we're gonna make a series of it. It's a lawn chair series, and it's my sister and I. We're gonna drink and we're gonna talk about funny topics and see where it goes.
You guys have a presence in New Orleans, obviously, right?
We do. We're growing. New Orleans is a different beast. It's a little bit more closed off, and so
Yeah, it's not
trying
all
to
Louisiana. It's very
trying to
specifically itself.
penetrate into those restaurants where they like appreciate local, because local hasn't always tasted that great, to be honest. So here we are just trying to get into their room and, you know, into a meeting with them and let them taste us and then show them that we can be a partner. So
You have pure liquors, and then you have mixes. So
just
what is
the canned cocktails,
Yeah,
those are actually going into production this week.
so what's your most popular right now?
The pickle vodka is our #1 seller, and then our reposado tequila.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'll
so
have to try that pickle vodka. That sounds pretty good.
yeah, it's really fun. It's funky. It's easy to drink. You could drink it straight or drink it in a Bloody Mary or a martini, which is, I was obsessed with pickles after having a few kids. So I was like loving martinis. I didn't love olives. I was like, why the hell is there no pickle martini? And then, you know, this was like 4 or 5 years ago, so or more maybe. And so I just it's like, let's try it. And I held on to the recipe while we were trying to get open. And then the idea for the tequila was, you know, I know there's a lot of celebrities making tequilas, but I was thinking, why not try? So we ended up with a female-owned distillery down in Mexico, and they've been fantastic to work with us to create a flavor profile that I liked. And so I also call myself and my sister and I are the master of flavor. So we taste test everything, and then if we like it, we go from there. We take a risk.
The Blanco sounds cool. My wife doesn't like tequila. She doesn't like most liquors, and she tried I forget one of the big brands, Blanco. And she's like, oh, she's like, tequila's not so bad. I was like, yeah.
No. Tequila is not. Like, people need to rediscover, and a lot of people have, which is why it's one of the margarita's #1 cocktail. Not that I'm also against sugar, so I drink everything
Sure.
straight. So our Blanco is very sippable, and it's got some pepper notes on the finish, just a wonderful baked agave taste on the palate, and it's very smooth.
Break that sugar-free margarita mix thing, man. 'Cause I really got like the skinny margarita or whatever, but
Yeah, I mean, enjoy the
Get it done.
tequila is what I say. Just squeeze in some orange and squeeze in a little
it's real juice.
lime and then go. I mean,
Yeah.
not that that's not sugar, but you know, if you're gonna
No added sugars, right?
Just a
No
little
additional
pinch.
sugars. Yeah.
little pinch.
Yeah, so then what do you snack on? I guess you would like probably have shrimp with the tequila, right? Like if you wanted something.
Well, I don't know. I mean, salsa. Get you some salsa.
God, you're making me hungry over here, girls. What's
Yeah.
going on? Sweet
Uh,
Lord.
Well, thank you. We've come to the end of your segment, Natalie. So people find you on noeldistillery.com. Is that
Yeah,
the
they can also, we shop, I mean, we can ship throughout the country if your state allows us to come in, and it's shop.noeldistillery.com. And we can ship our products that
is
way.
there any
But
place else to find your products?
only in Louisiana physically, and like we're in Total Wine, and that just happened a few weeks ago. So that was a big milestone for us.
So, well, welcome back, listeners. You are listening to the Passage to Profit show with Richard and Elizabeth Gearhart and our special guest, Justin Cooke. And we have Natalie Noel here. But now it is time for Secrets of the Entrepreneurial Mind. So, Justin, what is a secret that you can share with our listeners that has helped you in your journey, or maybe that you've learned that wasn't helpful?
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned it earlier, you have a lot of like head trash, or I had a lot of head trash about entrepreneurship and what's required to be successful. Um, and I think, there's a lot of like paths we feel like we're forced to follow. So like, like Mike mentioned earlier, he's a veteran. I'm a veteran, right? And, when I got out of the Navy, I thought there was a path I would just be kind of forced to take. I need to go get a job. I need to finish school. Like there's a path to take. And that was just head trash. What I realized is you can actually forge your own path, right? By being an entrepreneur, you can go out there and say, look, this is kind of, I'm going to build the life I want to lead. I'm going to put myself in a position where I can take advantage of things and, direct myself rather than kind of like blowing like a feather in the wind, right? I can actually forge my own path. And that was a secret that it took me till my 30s really to understand. I wish I would have got out my 20s. And when I run into these young entrepreneurs today that understand that, I'm like, wow, they are hungry. They are going to crush it. 20 years from now, they're going to be future leaders. So yeah, I think understanding you can forge your own path. You're not stuck kind of like following a script or a path that's laid out for you by society. You can make it your own.
That is huge. And I wish I had known that a lot younger too. You know what? I mean, I think it's easier with some of the tools today. Like you have Upwork and you have Fiverr. So you can do gig economy jobs on there and grow a business from there. I mean, I know a lot of people use it as an intro to their regular business and it helps them get clients, and
Yeah.
customers. But yeah, that's huge. So, Mike, what is your secret that you can share?
Well, I think the biggest thing for young entrepreneurs is pick your partners wisely, because you think you think the people that you're going into business with, and Justin's probably shaking his head appropriately in the background. You never know until you get down in the trenches with the people that you're working with, especially when you're bootstrapping a business. You never really know the character of somebody until you get down to where you're down to your last $100 in the bank account and you're still trying to make payroll. So pick your partners wisely, and make sure you know exactly who they are before you get into a business with them. And that would be my advice to new entrepreneurs. Really vet your partners wisely.
I think that is excellent advice. So, Natalie, what is your secret?
Well, my secret is mindset because, and I've already started coaching my daughter on this and my son. I'm like, life is hard and you need to be okay with that. And I think when you're in business, it's like being a quarterback. You can't get too high, you can't get too low. And one of my biggest things is celebrating the small wins. So I'm the crazy ass running around the hall if we got a great email, or if we got, we sold 150 products in one couple of days. So I just try to have a positive mindset and make sure I'm always focused on that, and I don't get too low or don't get too high.
Yeah, that's really great advice because entrepreneurs can go really low.
My business partner can go pretty low, so it's good for her that I stay pretty happy. You just gotta roll with the punches because they are coming. They are coming.
It's good to balance each other out too. Like I feel that
Yeah.
way. Sometimes my business partner will get kind of negative or whatever, and then I'll get positive, or he'll get positive, and when I'm negative, he'll kind of like balance you out. So you have to have that kind of understanding. And again, it goes back to what Mike said. Pick a good partner, someone that's
Yeah.
trustworthy, that has character, that when shit hits the fan, they're gonna,
They're not going anywhere.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so Richard's secret, what I think was going to be like, be careful who you partner with, who you hire. and who you trust on different things in different types of activities. Like you have to really know who the person is before you trust them very far. And people may have the best of intentions, but it doesn't always work out that way. And then mine was, I'm finding this out. And my coach, I have a business coach, and she was actually on the show a while back, Sonia Satra, but she keeps telling me, you know a lot, and you can't assume that everybody that you're talking to knows everything that you know, because you've been an entrepreneur and in the entrepreneurial world for so long, and things that are just like second nature because you had to do them, not because you wanted to learn them or do them necessarily, but you were forced to, right? Other people don't know. So don't like think, oh, they're being this way and it's not cool. They're being that way because they don't know what you know, right? Does that make any sense to anybody?
That makes total sense to me. And I take for granted, and I think like if I just share that idea, that's just a common idea and it's not unique. And then I realize like, whoa, okay.
Yeah, there's a guy, Derek Sivers. He wrote a "Common to You, Amazing to Others" or something like that. There's an article about it. It's fantastic because you're just so deep in the weeds. You're like, oh, I thought everyone knew this, right? And the other problem, you ever get the other guys who try to talk above? They try to use a lot of jargon, and they try and because they want to be smart. They got so much ego in it. Yeah, and they're not speaking to their customers, right? Their customers are like, "Can you just explain to me what my problem is and how you solve it?" And they're like, "Look at how smart I am," right? Yeah, that's not helpful.
So I kind of went over yours a little bit, your secret of the entrepreneurial mind. Do you want to elaborate on it?
I'm sure you did an amazing job. You speak for me all the time, so I see no reason why to change course here.
This is fantastic.
Well, how was your partner picking, by the way? I was super curious about this. Did you pick a good partner over there?
Well, yeah. So it's
Is it time to wrap up this show? Okay.
so I don't think we have enough time in this segment yet. So Richard actually has a couple of partners in the law firm, and it's funny because they really complement each other well, I think.
Right. They
Yeah.
do.
And so
They're amazing.
So Richard does everything. He does everything, and then they each do kind of like half of what he does. So
Right.
yeah. So it's good.
Well, my dad, I mean, this is his first entrepreneurial journey. And so I have like 5 other experiences. So, but you talked about it, Justin, sometimes, some days you're down. So like in our 6-year journey, some days I would be like totally in the tank. And then he would be like, no, we just got to get in the game. Cause I'm a former athlete. I played college basketball. So any kind of sports analogy he was throwing at me. And I was like, okay, you're right. Let's just stay in the game. And then some days he would call me and he was like, what the hell did we do? I just took all y'all's money. Like, this is terrible. I'm so sorry. I was like, no, don't worry about it. And then our mascot is a Louisiana tree frog. So we would see a little tree frog, just kind of stuck on a window. And then we'd say, oh, yes, keep going.
Sign.
It's a sign. So.
I mean, when you're starting off in a startup, any sign is a good sign. You're just begging for signs,
and
right?
I definitely ignore every red flag. There is no red flag because that is just an opportunity for me to punch through it.
For sure.
Yeah, I think the other thing starting off that you don't realize, that we did not realize when we were in corporate, because we're both corporate refugees, was you have to learn marketing. You don't have to be a specialist, an expert, but you have to learn marketing to some level if you're going to be an entrepreneur and own a company.
And sales.
I am always amazed at my undergrad is marketing and then I have an MBA, but I'm always amazed at folks that will start a business and they think marketing is that's optional.
Right.
Like, what are you doing? Like, stop.
Yes.
Don't do it. Stay employed.
I know. I think we're good now.
Okay, great. Well, it's time for us to sign off. So thanks to our amazing guests. It was a great show this week. And Passage to Profit is a nationally syndicated radio show appearing in 31 markets across the United States. I'd like to say thank you to the Passage to Profit team, our producer, Noel Fleischman, our program coordinator, Alicia Morrissey, and Risakat Brasui. We also want you to look for our podcast tomorrow anywhere you get your podcasts. And our podcast is ranked in the global top 3% of podcasts. So how about that? You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And for all your patent and trademark and copyright needs, our firm Gearhart Law offers free consultations, so contact us at gearhartlaw.com. And while the information provided during this program is believed to be correct, never take a legal step without first checking with your legal professional. That's it for us. We'll see you again next week on Passage to Profit.